pledge of
Recording
allegiance.
in progress.
Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you for joining us tonight. We have a few people on Zoom as well. We'll keep track of that, Chip. See if we see any hands go up. Let me know. Thanks. Item number two, excuse me. No, two. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to make public comment on a topic that's not included on the agenda already? Dee?
Yeah.
How are you?
Well, thank you.
You were good? We're active on Front Porch Forum.
Yes, I
A lot
was.
going on.
Yes, I involved too much, actually. I just want to express my gratitude towards the city, Trudy, Officer Garrett, Dominic, and Marty for all the assistance they've given us in our neighborhood in the last 2, 3, 4 weeks. It's really been appreciated, and the issue's still there, but, you know, we just at least working on it. So just wanted to express that to everybody and appreciation for understanding how hard it's been. So thank you.
Thank you, Dee. Just for clarifying, was Dale Kuhn involved with that as well, Mark?
That was a different.
Different one, okay. Because I received a thank you note. It sounded like the same thing, but it's different, I guess, so.
I think that was related to Casella.
Oh, yes, you may be right. Okay. We'll touch on that a little bit later. Is there anyone else who would like to share any public comments relative to items not on the agenda? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 3, which is consider appointment to Parks and Recreation Commission of Peggy Manhill. Everyone had her application in your packet. Peggy's been on the Rec Commission board for a number of years and been very active with special events and whatnot. So is there
Motion to reappoint Peggy Manahan to Parks and Recreation Commission.
Second.
thank you, Tim, seconded by Bob. Any other comments on that? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Peggy is reappointed for another term.
Is that to 3/31/26?
The 3-year term, right?
Yep. So is it?
3 years from now.
All our terms are 3 years.
I know, but is it to 12/31? Is it to 6/30?
Oh, fiscal or calendar year?
Well, if I were bringing it to you for one of the planning and development boards, I would suggest end of December. Just give
2026.
Yeah,
Yeah.
2026. Yeah, let's do that.
So that's what.
Sounds good, thank you.
Okay, we'll consider a motion to convene liquor control board into a liquor control board meeting.
Are we missing one? Number 4. Number 4.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's how you get through your meetings so fast.
Well, we were delayed upstairs by Mr. Spooner, so I tried to pick up that. Sorry, item number 4, overview of SBA's economic injury disaster loan, also known as the EIDL, for eligible, so.
Hello, everyone.
How are you?
How you doing? Thank you, Mayor Smith, board, and members for letting me come out and speak about the program that we have available for your businesses. You do not have to have physical damage. The damage comes in your finances. And this is because your surrounding counties has been affected by the July storm. So guess what? Your business may not be making as much as they were making a couple of months ago or maybe even last year. It takes 6 months to a year before a business can recognize this injury. And a lot of businesses say, oh, I didn't have any physical damages, it doesn't apply, but it does. So the deadline to apply for this program is April 15th, 2024. You can borrow up to $2 million and the interest rate can go as low as 4%. The payments are deferred for 12 months, interest is deferred for 12 months. And also, if you know of anyone who have had physical damages to their home, could you please let them know that the deadline to apply for that is coming up October the 12th. So we're trying to get everybody in there that needs to get some type of help. Again, I do appreciate you guys for letting me come out and speak about this program. Hopefully it can benefit some of your businesses. And at this time, I open the floor to any questions.
So is the rate variable or is it fixed?
It's variable.
It's variable.
Yeah, it can go as low as 4%, but as if you know now, if you go to a bank or anywhere, you're gonna get hit with 9 or 8.
Mhm.
Yes,
Okay. And this is a federal program?
yes it is.
Federal governmental program?
Yes.
Okay.
So spread the word to your business.
How arduous of a process is it for someone to do this?
I hadn't had any complaints. It's gone through, as we expected, pretty smooth. Even with the threat of the shutdown, it hasn't slowed up. So, encourage them to go ahead and apply.
Ms. Green, what office are you out of?
The East, Atlanta, Georgia.
So you've been stationed up here?
Yeah, I've been here since July the 20th. I'm almost a resident.
You find a place to live?
I'm from the South. I'm from Louisiana, so it's been kind of difficult with the food, but I've been going through something.
Cold.
But the good thing, I lost a couple of pounds. So that's a good part about it.
The cold won't bother you?
Yeah, it kind of, the joints been kind of aching a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
where are you based out of?
Atlanta, I'm based out of, but I'm from Monroe, Louisiana. Are you guys familiar with Monroe? We have ULM University, Tech University, Grambling State. It's kind of a lot of universities in my area. About 3 hours from Baton Rouge. I know you guys know Baton Rouge.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. New Orleans too.
Yeah,
I've been
4
there.
hours, thank God. It's getting rough there.
It wasn't too bad when I went there.
Yeah.
Where are you working out of in Vermont?
Colchester.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, staying at, I'm lodging in Colchester.
And this contact information will go to you or to your office?
Oh, I can provide you with my card, but this is the 1-800 number to apply, and as well as the website. They can go online. The application is pretty self-explanatory, easy to fill out. If they have any issues, they can call the 1-800 number, they can walk them straight through it.
And how long are you in the state for?
Well, I lodged till November 13th, so I'm like, I bought me an overcoat yesterday. Yeah, with a hood, so. I was hoping to get out of here before the cold hit, but I don't know, I'm kind of pushing
Good
it.
luck with that.
Yeah. So, Mayor Smith, can I ask a favor of you? I don't mean to disrupt your meeting. Can I possibly get a photo with your handsome self?
Now?
Talking about this guy?
Yeah.
I'm used to these requests.
It's just okay. I want to be able to say I got a picture of the famous
Answer the
person.
same sentence.
We're recording it too.
That's, no one's gonna disagree.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And
Thanks for
these
coming
on
up.
my card.
Yes, we'll take that, please.
And I'm gonna go on out of here and let you guys get back to your meeting.
Let me know how many likes you get on your Facebook page.
Oh, okay. I know, I might go viral.
Ms. Green, when applying, does a business have to make their case for suffering a loss?
Yeah, but see what the business is going to put down is, you didn't make any money in July. You
Okay.
didn't make any money in August, to whereas with another loan, you have to prove that you can pay the loan back. With us, you have to show, That is
Does
the
that
injury.
get, does that get compared to your 2022 numbers?
What do you mean?
So August 2022 compared to August 2023? Do you have to compare those or just August 23 to July 23?
Okay, it's gonna go back to 22.
It is, okay.
And then, of course, July is gonna be 0, August gonna be 0. And I don't, then September, you know, it kinda like picks back up, so I don't know what the business would have been made.
Okay.
All right, let me get out
I
of
was
here.
gonna mention to you, you know what they were saying this year?
Uh-oh.
9 months of good sledding, 3 months of hard sledding.
Well, I don't wanna be here for this cold weather, I'll tell you that. I'm used to 3 digits and a humidity.
Thank you
All
for,
right,
thank you for coming in.
so much. Y'all guys have a good evening.
All right, thank you.
Now we'll move on to item number 5, which is to move into and convene a liquor control board meeting.
I move that we recess our regular city council meeting and enter into liquor control board.
I'll second.
We have a motion by Chad, seconded by Marie to go into a liquor control board meeting after recessing our council meeting. Nicole, do you want to come on up and?
Sure. Mike, if you'd like to join me, this is going to be all about you. Hi, everyone. This is Mike Rooney. He is on our agenda to approve his second class and his tobacco license for what used to be Hometown, and we're going to be called From Scratch. From Scratch. And you guys should have everything in your packets.
We do.
Everything's
Mike,
reviewed, or if you have any questions for Mike?
Sure, Mike, how are you? Thanks for
Good, how are
coming. Good. You want to just give a quick overview of what you hope to,
Sure, absolutely.
what the store you hope it's going to turn out to be?
Yeah, so I purchased the Hometown Deli and Redemption from Mike Manahan back on September 11th, last month. And I've got a fairly extensive restaurant, food service background going back about 30 years. So I like dealing with food, I like dealing with people, and I think I named it From Scratch because we want to kind of get away from a lot of the processed type foods and serve good home cooked meals, some nice food to go, some meals to go late in the day, whether it be dinners. It just feel being a small town, I just feel like we bring a lot to the table and can really make some good changes. Since I've taken over, we haven't sold any beer and wine. That's the basis for me being here tonight for the beer and wine license. But the store's doing, quite well, in my opinion, without selling any beer and wine. So that's the component I'm here to get in place, and looking forward to it. And I appreciate having the time to come up and speak and answer any questions you might have. I've got a fair amount of documentation that I'm going to provide to Nicole for review.
Mike, what kind of experience do you have selling alcohol?
Not so much selling alcohol, but serving alcohol. I managed the Windjammer restaurant for 4 years. I was general manager at the Lighthouse restaurant for 4 years. I was the conference and banquet manager at the Hampton Inn for 2 years. So I've dealt with a lot of different functions, whether it be weddings or private parties or whatnot. So
From Scratch Inc., who were the shareholders of that company?
myself.
Just you?
Yep.
Okay. What's Hans all about?
He's my attorney.
Okay.
He's the one that he filed the application with the Department of Liquor Control and set up the corporate resolution and all the legal work that went to buy the business.
Nicole, I saw that the insurance policy here had a $500,000 limit. Is that pursuant to our guidelines? I thought it was $1 million.
I would have to double check on that. I didn't believe the bill was
Okay.
but I can double check.
Just
that
check,
in the morning.
whatever it
Yep.
is, I'm sure you can get it, Mike,
Yep.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I can double check that in the morning.
Have you limited yourself to any hours at all?
I've been in there about once or twice a week, checking in with the staff. I'm checking with them on the phone regularly.
No, I meant, have you limited yourself to any operating hours? The store? What are the operating
I'm
hours?
sorry, yeah.
Have you limited yourself to any particular hour? or
We've
just
been
open
trying to
hours?
stick with like 7 to 7.
Yeah,
Seems to work pretty well. I do have some staff members that are anxious and eager to work, so depending on how business goes, we may decide to extend the hours, maybe on Friday and Saturday if there's more demand, depending on what the...
do you want to get those tonight? Or do you want to wait? Because I didn't see anything in here that said you were going to operate under any certain hours. Anybody else? Okay, so then he hasn't limited himself to any type of hours, so whatever the operating hours are, the operating hours.
Right.
And I'm okay with that. So, okay. All right.
Anything else, Tim?
Just to make sure that we're okay with that insurance, and,
I'll double check. It was the same company that Manahan had for several years,
yeah.
so we just mirrored the policy after that. I'll certainly check in the morning.
And I can double check in the morning as well.
Okay. And this almost looks like a liability insurance for personal injury on the property rather than the dram shop insurance that's required by the state of Vermont Liquor Control Board. Can you also just check on that too?
Sure thing.
Okay. Good.
Mike, in conversations with you, I think you had shared that we're going to try to reduce the amount of liquor advertising and second
Yes, that was the other
advertising.
good point, thank you. Because we're right across from BFA High School, I thought it was important that we eventually, in the next month or so, take down the beer, wine, cigarettes in the window. I think it's kind of a foregone conclusion that we sell that anyways, but until, once the liquor license is granted and whatnot, I probably would leave it there for a week or two just to let people know that we're selling it, and then my plan is to take it down. So it's not quite so prolific in the windows.
And my last question for you, are you also going to expand your lines of not just food? Are you looking at some 802 stuff?
Yeah, we may, we do sell, I've got a retail store in Burlington and South Burlington, and we do sell some Vermont clothing and maple syrup and some tourist type things. So there is some floor space in there that I may try to do some different things, seasonal type things, where I could sell some Vermont type products. This is some nice things for people to take with them, whether they're in town or even the locals. I think the plan at this point is to do away with the bottle redemption side of things. And better repurpose that space so it's better use of the space. I spoke to Frank Chaffee about that, and had no problems with that. So.
Good. Anyone else have questions for Mike?
I just have one question. Would you mind if I shared your email address with Amy Brewer at Northwest Medical Center? She does a lot with, smoking cessation and stuff, and I know she's been, that advertising on the front of that building was one of her sore spots, and it might give you some good publicity
Absolutely. Yeah.
with removing it.
Yep.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
No problem.
Thank you, Mike. Entertain a motion?
I'll move that we approve the second-class liquor license and the tobacco license from scratch pending the two confirming the two insurance issues that Councilperson Hawkins brought up.
Seconded. So motion from Chad, seconded by Tim. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Hearing none, so it's approved. Nicole, you will.
I have a sheet for you if you guys want to sign, and then I will verify for sure in the morning, and I can let everybody know via email.
And as you said, Mike, if it does need to be increased, it's not
Oh,
a
yeah,
problem.
absolutely, I'll make sure I go through Nicole, and she'll have it first.
I don't think you need to let everyone know, Nicole,
Yeah.
just if they've got it, just make sure they have it and go ahead and send it off.
Sure, I'll do it, thank you.
Thanks, Nicole. Mike, thanks for coming in.
Thank you for having me.
Entertain a motion to,
Close, yeah, close the liquor, yep, control, go back.
Was there any other business?
No.
Any other business, Nicole?
Nope, that was it.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Paul, thanks, Mike. Motion to close the liquor control board meeting?
And reopen regular city council.
No second?
No second.
Oh, I'll second.
We were staying in liquor control all night.
So we have a motion and second to close the liquor control board and come back to the regular meeting. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Right, moving on to item number 6. Continuing public hearing for substantial change requests. That's for the TIF district?
Correct.
It's just you tonight, John?
Just me. So item 6 is the public hearing on the city's application to amend our TIF plan through a process known as substantial change. And item 7 is requesting approval for that. You'll recall that in the September meeting, we reviewed the financial aspects of that proposed change, and then tonight we're reviewing the design aspects of it. This is all timely because we need to have Vermont Economic Progress Council approve the change in order to do one last debt issuance in March of 2024. There's 3 components, 4 components really of the change. The first is an update to the Federal Street Multimodal Connector. That project has received a large slug of federal funding, and that will push a lot of the implementation out past the deadline of the TIF, but we are seeking to use TIF funding for the city's portion or the match of the design phase of that project. So it asks for $1.2 million to further that effort. We have a final number on the courthouse brownfield remediation for $200,000. The heart of it is the Bellevue Block redevelopment project, and the proposal asks for $10 million for that project, and we'll dive into that into greater detail shortly. And to do all that, we need to increase our debt ceiling from 25.5 to 32.4. The Bellevue Block redevelopment is a really exciting proposal. It responds to the housing crisis in northwestern Vermont by forming a public-private partnership to construct approximately 88 units of workforce housing on the land behind City Hall. And like the city's 2 previous projects, which involved both brownfields and parking and associated site work, 27 Federal in the hotel and Congressman. Our role is to acquire the parcels, remediate the brownfields, construct the parking and associated site and utility work that serves the redevelopment and the existing public parking. So those are the deal killers. You know, that's why you aren't seeing a lot of housing constructed outside of Chittenden County, is because the construction costs, and particularly the land acquisition and the brownfield cleanup and the parking provision of parking, makes it so that no developer in their right mind would do it. And here we're hoping to tilt the playing field towards St. Albans City and respond to the need that was identified in the Northwest Housing Study. I want to incorporate by reference my memo as well as the formal memo from the city to the Economic Progress Council a TIF district financing plan, substantial change request, and have that be included as part of the motion to approve. And then direct your attention to some of the design considerations that are in the packet. Chip, if you can help me a little bit with some of the sharing the renderings alongside of the folks online. And just a little bit of background. This proposal is an architectural and urban design project aimed at revitalizing the downtown core of the city through the introduction of 2 new residential buildings. The project seeks to transform underutilized and neglected zones into a thriving area combining residential spaces with amenities and green spaces. The 2 new residential buildings will harmonize with the existing architecture by reinterpreting distinctive architectural language of Main Street. The material selection and the volume fragmentation with rhythmic patterns, fenestration styles, which are windows, will evoke this architectural language while introducing contemporary elements and innovative design. Both buildings will provide market rate units with an optimal parking ratio. A pedestrian path is planned as a unifying element between Center and Hudson Streets, and this walkway will provide a sense of continuity through the project while creating a visually appealing and functional space. The project not only will improve the quality of life for residents, but also will serve as a catalyst for the city's overall development by stimulating economic growth by attracting new residents, businesses, and investment to the downtown area. So the way the architects proposed and the city has responded to propose to VEPSI to accomplish this begins on page 14. And one of the considerations we've given is making sure that we're not demolishing any buildings that substantively contribute to the sense of place in the downtown. So we're going to preserve the facade of the Bellevue building, the white facade on the front, and then build a new building in back of that, which shows on the red portion of your handout. We would also demolish the 2 city-owned buildings on Hudson Street, the low-lying single-story red pole barn structures. Page 15 then, that allows us to build 2 new 4-story buildings over a podium for parking underneath. One of these buildings would be in back of the Bellevue building, and the other would likely front on Center Street at this point in our design. Now, I want to flag, we're looking at a lot of different design options, and this is what we see as sort of a core project area, but it's possible that the design process might lead us to bump out a little bit in either direction. So we've engaged a lot of the property owners around the area in some of the discussions, and where the buildings ultimately land will depend on how the design interaction of the design process and those conversations. But this is the general gist of it. You've got 2 buildings, I'm on page 16 now, Chip. Building 1 in back of the Bellevue, and building 2 likely at this point on Center Street. And it's this vision that's informed our construction estimates that's also in the packet. We spent a lot of time with the architect making sure that these are attractive to the private investor. And so they've spent a lot of time then in detail in the subsequent pages laying out the unit mix, primarily 1s and 2s, single residences with some dens thrown in. With the parking primarily underneath, but also in the adjacent parking lot, and shared as a whole between the residential units and the office workers in the surrounding buildings. And I would then direct your attention to page 25. Check if you can take us there. And this is really, sort of the heart of the vision. It really brings to life what the architects were talking about, is that a building that that fits in downtown St. Albans. This is the building that at this point would likely front on Center Street. And you see the second building, the Bellevue building behind it, and the interaction with the entryway on Center Street. Page 26 provides a horizontal view. We don't have the second building incorporated into this rendering yet. But that's the heart of the design phase that we're in. Also incorporated into the package is the project budget, which, as I mentioned, comes out to $10 million. This reflects our latest thinking in the most likely locations. But as I mentioned, as our land acquisition and design processes advance, it's possible we may make greater use of some areas and lesser use of the others. The $10 million is extremely conservative and allows us the flexibility to be most cost effective in the process. And drilling down a little bit further, there might be a cheaper way to do it as we get into it. This reflects the most expensive alternatives that we would encounter. Just as an example, in the estimating for asbestos in the buildings that we would demo, they assume the worst case scenario, and similarly for soil concentrations. So ultimately, I don't want to open up for public comment here, but the motion that we request is on the bottom of the second page. When the council, city requests the council consider a motion approving the financial plan and the substantial change request as outlined in the attached memo to BEPSI. And with that approval, in late 2023 from BEPSI, we would present the projects to voters in March of 24 and hope to begin our portion of the project next summer. Welcome any questions from the council or the public.
I didn't see it, but when does this get presented to the Pepsi Council?
Their December meeting is the target, right, Jim? December?
Yeah, which means we need to get our application into Betsy this month.
And just to, did I hear you correctly, so that the expected remediation will be urban soils, asbestos, and probably lead?
Yeah, I mean, we've done some soil characterization to date. We haven't, knock on wood, we haven't seen anything similar to what we saw at Fonda or anything like that. It's typical urban fill, and a lot of the remediation costs are really just driven by exporting dirt offsite and having to deal with dirt that had fires in it 100 years ago. That must have been that far, 1890.
Anyone, council, have any further questions for Don? No. Audience? Josh, you're good?
Good.
Zach, anything? Sean? Trudy, you're good? Okay. And you want to wrap it up with, Don? You just need our approval moving forward?
Correct.
Consider that's the closure of that item. I'll make a motion to approve the financial plan and the substantial change request as outlined in the memorandums given to us by the city manager.
Second.
I have a motion from Tim, seconded by Chad. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes.
Good work.
Thank you.
He's not done yet, Tim. I should have asked this before, but when do we think the reception will be at Pepsi? Any indication, any thoughts?
Yeah, we have Pepsi's a really important relationship for us. projects. We work hard at inspiring their confidence, and we're cautiously optimistic we'll continue to be able to do so.
All right. You've got what you need for the public hearing, Chip?
I think so. We got, that's the motion we needed.
Yep, yep, we're good.
You and the mayor are gonna sign the,
Yep.
okay.
Okay, we'll move on to item number 8, planning and development action items. Chip, you're up.
Thank you. I have a few funding applications or grant resolutions for you to consider tonight. First, Lower Weldon, the old GMP cooling ponds. You may remember, the city purchased that property because it's been identified as a place to do our largest stormwater treatment facility. It's part of the flow restoration plan that we need to implement as part of our MS4 stormwater permit. And this is an application to the Clean Water State Revolving Fund for engineering costs associated with pulling together a lot of pieces of this project into something that we can put out to bid. There's some brownfield work we're doing, there's some engineering on making connections on Lower Weldon Street. But this project would treat 55 acres, including much of downtown. It would actually provide stormwater treatment for some properties in the area that are facing 3-acre permits under state stormwater rules. So it's an important project, and the application is for $90,000, 50% subsidized by the state. The other 50% would be a loan that would be paid back with the stormwater utility. You want to consider these one by one, Tim, or?
Yes.
Okay, all right, so that's the Lower Weldon application.
Chip, I don't know what I was hoping to see, but I flipped through thinking I might see a site plan of some sort. Will there be anything to look at on this, or is it all, I think we talked about underground at one point?
So this would be a gravel wetland. You would look a lot like this isn't the CSO tank. This is stormwater treatment. So it would be a gravel wetland where the cooling ponds are today, and it would normally it's a mixture of river rock and some planted greenery. It takes the water during a storm, and then the water basically infiltrates into the ground after a storm.
This will not exit to Stevens Brook at any point?
It will exit to Stevens Brook. The water's already going to Stevens
Right.
Brook, but this would treat it, slow it down, get the phosphorus and other nutrients out before it gets into Stevens Brook.
So is it gonna be bigger than what's there now, or is it basically gonna combine the two, or?
Kind of combining the two, same footprint of the two cooling ponds. That access, we still have that access to get in there and maintain it.
Mhm.
We have to continue to provide access to GMP so they can swing back around to their substation if they have to. So it's really, I mean, we would probably clear out a lot of the brush, but otherwise, instead of the two ponds full of water, you would see the gravel wetland. Those are the things that have replaced that traditional stormwater pond that we were used to seeing, those were like always full. Gravel wetlands are meant to infiltrate water more and dry out.
So right now, I'm gonna guess there's clay or something under there? What's keeping the water now from just draining out?
Yeah, there's like a clay cap.
So get rid of that, obviously.
Right.
Okay.
And we're responsible for the disposal of the water in the ponds now.
Yeah, the preliminary environmental, I believe, concluded that we would be able to just we might actually be able to just pump that into the brook, depending on what's in there, or into the wastewater plant under a controlled discharge.
So it's probably pretty clean.
Yeah, it's not that bad. The water's not that bad. There's some stuff there associated with the past, that there was a generation station there,
Diesel
right?
generator,
The diesel
yeah.
generator. But that's not really affecting the water in the ponds as much as the soils. And the soils would be dealt with as a brownfield.
So residents shouldn't see much of an impact, besides it'll probably be kept up a little bit better.
Yeah, we'll be paying a lot more attention to it, we'll be maintaining it.
You know, is there gonna be a new fence around it?
Yeah, I imagine so, yeah.
Because I know a tree's falling across it, Marty's
Yeah.
church cleaned up quite a bit on that side.
I have a feeling the fence will be rejuvenated,
Okay.
yeah,
I think it'll clean things up, it'll make it look a lot better there,
Right.
so.
right.
So you're looking for approval on the funding application
Yes.
as presented. Entertain a motion to approve.
Do you want each one, or do you want them all together as one? If they're,
We're doing one at a time.
okay, well then I'll move to approve the funding application for the Lower Weldon Stormwater Treatment Project.
Is there a second?
Second.
Is there anyone else have any questions? Public?
One quick question, is this gonna impact the CSO at the Lower Weldon South Elm? Is this gonna make that less likely to come off, or is that different water coming from somewhere else?
That's different water.
Okay.
But as you know, there's another project we're
Yeah.
dealing with on that one, and that's not coming up tonight, but you'll be hearing more on that soon.
Okay, perfect, thank you.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Chip, moving on to municipal planning grant.
So here and print there. Oh, I think we have 7th Street still? Oh, that comes up later, yes. Municipal planning grant, we are, planning commission started the work to update our city plan. According to state rules, we need to re-adopt an updated plan for 2025. And the municipal planning grants are a funding source that many communities use when they're updating their city plans or their zoning. In this case, it could be a useful source of funds to hire a consultant to assess our current city plan in light of any statutory changes that have happened since 2017. Also, assess our plan based on any changes to the new regional plan that was just adopted, and to advise us on just getting in the data and information and policies that would continue our plan's compliance with the state and regional standards. Perhaps even help us out with some of the narrative of the plan. I'd like to keep the work plan flexible, but it's a source of funding that'll really help us manage this project and keep it going forward. The local match is small, and it's in the planning and development budget. So what's before you is a required resolution for the state grant application that we need to fill out.
Motion to approve the municipal planning grant.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any further questions for Chip? Hearing none. Trudy, you're good? All those in favor, say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion passes. And we move on to the third item for Chip, is the loan application for 7th Street combined sewer project.
You may remember we passed a long-term control plan to deal with our CSO a few years back. And one of the larger projects in that plan has evolved into the project that Chad mentioned, where we're looking at the ability to store storm overflows under Houghton Park, underground, still maintaining the integrity of the park, but would remove the vast majority of overflows from the CSO in that area. But there are a couple other little projects that are in the long-term control plan that we committed to back then, and one of them was to do sewer stormwater separation on 7th Street. And the state has reminded us that we committed to that in the long-term control plan. So we are working with Aldrich and Elliott to get that bid ready to do the project. We've committed to doing it next year. It would look mostly like a utility project. We would trench the street, put in new storm and sewer lines. This application is for, just like the Laura Weldon one, this is an application for the design and engineering costs to get us there. And just like with Laura Weldon, this grant would be 50% forgiven by the state and then 50% loan to be paid off with the wastewater fund.
So doing these projects, Chip, right now doesn't necessarily impact, correct? It's eventually when we have separation, because doesn't it just go to somewhere where it all combines again?
Not Stebbins Street.
Not Stebbins
This
Street,
one-
Stebbins Street will,
This one is, it's a very, it's one of the smaller areas.
Yeah.
But when this project is done, that stormwater will no longer be going to the combined system.
so that'll be impactful,
It'll be, yeah, it's going to help.
okay?
And it's a way of showing the state that we're serious about the CSO, and we will follow up on the projects that we committed to in the long-term control plan.
But it'll still be treated at the wastewater facility.
In this case, the stormwater would be a separate stormwater discharge. It would connect up with one of our existing stormwater discharges. And this little amount of stormwater would no longer be treated by the sewage treatment plant, but it also would not be contributing to an overflow during a storm.
So where will it end up?
I don't know exactly which one. Probably, might go all the way to one of the discharges on Lemon Drive, where Stevens Brook, or Grace, where Stevens Brook crosses Lemon Drive.
Motion to approve the loan application for Stebbins Street CSO project.
Second.
Motion is second. Any further questions for Chip? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? So that is approved, Chip. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Sarah, I haven't called you out yet.
Okay. I'll wait quietly here. Thank you.
Don't let him proceed.
Thank you for joining us, Sarah.
You're welcome.
Feel free to sit down and
You know, I was gonna say something nice about how you guys started late and got caught up, and
Oh, I
what a
know.
nice change that is. But I don't know, I might have to retract.
I've learned over the years how to deal with Mr. Spooner, so
I would have gave him the finger, so you're gonna
My boss.
Sarah, thanks for
I
joining
reserved
us.
that for him. No. So the first thing I have for you this evening is upcoming short-term debt renewals in the fourth quarter of the year. So it's my goal to get these to you quarterly instead of, more frequently than that. We have two items coming up that I would ask you to consider renewing. The first is a $500,000 short-term note for the purchase of property at 100 to 120 Federal Street. This is part of the TIF project on Federal Street, and we use short-term borrowing to acquire the property and then TIF funding to clean it up, and it's our intention to sell it at the end of the project. We currently have $500,000 out at 1.95%, and we're looking to renew that for a year at 2%. Their rates are creeping, but they're still pretty low. Would you like to hear about the other one as well, or do them one at a time, like Chip said?
Let me stick to one at a time. So
All right.
that is, the expectation, it'll go another year before.
That's correct. So it's our expectation that we would hold this property using the short-term borrowing until the project is finished, and then we could sell it, and those proceeds would refund the debt.
We still need to clean that property up. Is that in the, do we think that's in the works?
Yeah, no printing, yeah. So I move that we approve the, what do we want to call it, your short-term application? And what-
Sure, the short-term
Renewal?
note on 100 to 120 Federal Street would be fine.
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Marie. Motion by Chad, seconded by Marie. Any other questions on this for Sarah? Hearing none, all those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, so that extension is approved.
Thank you very much.
The second item is the same structure, different location, different dollar amount. The second item is short-term borrowing incurred for the purchase of 86 and 104 North Main Street of $1.44 million. That is coming due in December, trying to get out ahead of it a little bit. This is the 86 North Main is the property we were discussing earlier in the TIF substantial change conversation. And it is our intention to renew this short-term debt on these properties while we work into the next phases of the project. So
Rates the same.
Same, it was at 1.95, it's going at 2%.
Entertain a motion to extend that debt service.
For 1.44 million for 80, what was it?
86 and 104 North
86
Main.
North Main Street for 1 year.
Motion, is there a second? Okay, we'll move on to that.
Guess we're not voting on that.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Hawkins. Any further questions?
Sarah, this will be a year from 12/22, right? Not a
That's
year.
correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
Motion and second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, the debt service is moving extended come December.
Excellent,
Thank you,
very
Sarah.
much.
Now we're going to move on to item number 10. We will get the third quarter financial report.
Yes, so in your packets, you have 4 pages of financial report spreadsheets. As of the end of the first quarter of FY '24, you may have noticed that I've altered the format slightly. The largest, or the one that has changed the most is the general fund. And if you're looking at the sheet with me, you'll notice that on the left-hand side, I've summarized the inflows of resources, and on the right-hand side, I've summarized the outflows of resources. I've broken the categories down into some of the divisions of the various departments. So you'll see that recreation now has recreation, pool, Barlow, and the Weldon Theater. So instead of lumping those all together in one, I have them broken out for more meaningful analysis. I've also categorized items by their larger categories such as public safety, public works, recreation, and general administration. I've maintained the same general information that you are accustomed to seeing, including budget to actual and a comparison to last year. I'm open to any feedback on the format, but I felt pretty good about it when it all came together. On to the actual results of operations for the first quarter. In the general fund, you'll see that our revenues at the end of the first quarter, which would be 25% of the way through the year, hit approximately 27%, and our expenditures did the same. As I skim through these numbers to look for things that jump out at me on the revenue side, I'd like to point out that this is our last year of affiliation fee billing as part of the police contract, and we're only billing a half a year as opposed to a full year, and we've billed one of the 2 quarters. So you'll see that that revenue target at the 63.9% is that first quarter that was billed. We'll do one more, and then that will be it. Planning and development?
Can I ask a
Yeah,
question?
absolutely.
I'm not sure if you can answer this there, but, so Don, if someone, Marty and I were talking about this the other day, if someone builds a new home and they get the CO for December, they will pay half of the affiliation fee, which is also prorated for the length of the year?
Half affiliation fee for half a year, essentially. Right?
That's what it would be.
Yeah.
So, but it's dependent on acquiring the CO. It's not when they break ground, they don't pay the affiliation fee, it's when they,
It's kind of dependent on what's there, right? So, I mean, you get it based on, and it's the value, right, that's there. So, I don't think people can delay getting their CO and sneak out of affiliation fee.
that'd be the loophole, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
any more than you could sneak out of paying the taxes based on that,
Right.
Okay.
That's it? Thanks, sir.
The other revenue outlier is planning and development, clocking in at 71% of expected revenue at the first quarter. And this is the result of,
Me.
yes, Chip. Chip gets the credit here. a large payment in August for building permits. Working our way down the list, you'll see that dispatch revenues also exceed their 25% benchmark, and that's because we bill out our annual dispatch contracts at the beginning of the year, and many of the surrounding communities pay those in full. Public Works is coming in over target as the state of Vermont has decided to accelerate the quarterly highway payments this year to help communities with flood recovery, and we've received 75% of those at 25% of the way through the year. You'll also notice that general recreation programs is pushing 40%, and that's a result of recreation's heavy operating season being the summer, the beginning of the fiscal year. Over on the expenditure side of things, everything looks pretty good to me. We're coming in right about at the 25% mark across the board. A few exceptions to that are county and regional functions, which is where we pay our nonprofit appropriations from the budget, our county tax, and the ambulance service. Those are higher than 25% because we pay the vast majority of those out at the beginning of the year. Recreation, again, is coming in slightly over that 25% benchmark, but as we noticed, their revenues are there as well. And lastly, in Public Works capital, we've completed the bulk of our paving program, and so that is the $278,000 down in Public Works capital. I'd be happy to answer any questions about the general fund.
I just have the pool's income is right on target at 25%. But the pool's expenditures are a little higher than that. Is that okay? Is that normal?
Define normal. No, I don't see anything terribly off about that.
Okay.
We're moving into the next season of pool passes with the winter passes being available. We did just put the dome back up, and so that is a pretty large hit to the overall pool budget. And our surrounding communities that pay a portion for their residents to get the resident rate here, they're billed retrospectively, so we're likely waiting for some of those to come in as well. The spread here between the 24% and the 32% is not worrisome to me at this point in the year.
Okay.
Enough time to still squeeze out some more concessions sales. Other questions?
I'm gonna give you a request,
I would love to have a request.
and this gets away from this a little bit, but can we get a list of what bonds we have outstanding?
Oh, yes.
And when they come due,
I'd be happy
and
to.
maybe what the balance is? I don't necessarily need that for November meeting.
Well, I actually have it because the auditors want it
Oh, there.
for 2 weeks from now.
Say, we've seen that in the past too.
Yeah, we haven't seen it recently, but it'd be nice to see that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Does anyone have any questions for Sarah regarding this? This is a nice, readable format. Thank you.
Do you want to hear about the other, the general fund always gets the most love as the primary operating fund of the government, but I do have in here water, wastewater, and stormwater are three enterprise funds, all of which tell a very similar story. We are finally finished in the wastewater side of things with what I'm now calling the extraordinary sludge removal project that we talked about when I presented after June 30th, which was pushing the wastewater fund over budget at the end of last year. That came in at a total of $950,000 to clear those tanks all the way down. For I think the first time ever, right, Marty?
Correct.
So,
Will we do that yearly now, Marty?
Well, now hopefully we'll be able to keep up with it with our own machine, our own equipment down there.
Marty, how much in fines did we pay in July? Roughly.
Fines?
Did we pay any fines for the CSO?
Nothing I'm aware of, no.
Not that we're other, okay. I thought we had to pay a fine for that. No, okay.
in the water fund, our large capital project right now is the Aldous Hill tank. We've expended $563,000 so far in the current fiscal year. We've brought in $340,000 of debt proceeds to reimburse that. There's a temporary shortfall right now of about $223,000, and we have submitted a requisition for that. So we have a slight cash flow delay on that project. We incur the expenses, we pay them, and then we submit the documentation to the state, and they send us back. In stormwater, things are moving along as expected. So far, our only costs really are personnel related, and stormwater inflows from the first quarterly water, sewer, and stormwater bill. These are less eventful than the general fund, but I'm happy to take any questions about any of them.
Any questions for Sarah? Okay, you don't need anything from us, Sarah, just informing us.
Yes, and I do have, so a few months ago, Chad had asked about reserve balances in the various funds. And now that I'm reviewing the end of FY '23 and prepping for the audit, I have some numbers to share with you, if you're interested in hearing those, which I assume you all are. At the end of FY '23, the stormwater fund had an unrestricted net position of $355,000. The water fund had unrestricted net position of $650,000. And the sewer fund had $885,000. We did earmark $500,000 of existing reserves in the current fiscal year budget in sewer to pay for some capital projects. So that brings the available balance down to $385,000. The other bucket of money, which is a term I don't care for, but I can't seem to get away from, is ARPA. And the city had about $350,000 left in ARPA funds. You did designate $112,000 approximately last month for specific projects, and I understand that coming up next is another request. So after all of that, we're down to about $160,000 left in ARPA funds. I think that answers your question from May or June.
Okay. Do we have any in, what was the other fund I'm thinking of? Redevelopment?
Everything in redevelopment is locked up in assets held for resale or notes receivable at the moment.
Okay. Did we use any, I know we had said we were gonna use some ARPA funds for helping fix a couple private residences that were constantly on the PHSO. Did any of those ever come around? I know you reached out to a few landowners.
We authorized a pilot project. The property that we had in mind, we were unable to persuade the property owner that partnering with us to fix up his property was a good idea.
Okay.
So,
If we're still interested in that, there's one on North Elm where the porch is starting to collapse in. And there's also one now on Lake Street, corner of South Elm and Lake, that I noticed that the roof has started to collapse in on the porch as well.
yeah, yeah.
They moved their ramp so that our plow won't hit it. But that one I've noticed it's starting to, the porch roof's starting to collapse. So I don't know if we want to try it. And there's a
I think, speaking just as staff, I think we're always interested in that. I think distressed properties have an outside impact on everything around it, and it grows. And so any opportunity to meet with somebody to find a win-win there, we would take it.
Okay. I don't know if there's still the house on the corner of, I want to say, I don't want to get Lincoln and Upper Weldon. I don't know if that's the one, but they had their house on that corner. It's pretty overgrown. I think that porch
Yeah.
isn't doing
I mean, Marty's got a list, right? I know, so.
Okay, thank you.
Marty, have you made any, to that point, have you made any headway on the Lake Street property?
Just at this point, waiting for a contractor. Property owner is more than willing, so.
Is there anything else for us?
Not unless you have other questions.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for coming in, appreciate it. You're dismissed.
Thank you.
Probably gonna get some heat for that someplace, I'm sure.
Not from me.
Thank you. Item number 11th. So this is Dom's redevelopment assistance grants.
12 cities.
Right.
There's 2 requests here, we'll take them one at a time. The first is a grant of $50,000 to From Scratch for facade and site improvements and startup expenses, as outlined in the packet.
Yep. This is the one that we heard from during the liquor control portion of the meeting. The former Hometown Deli has been purchased, and the new owners have interest in renovating and improving the facade and restricting beer, wine, and cigarette promotional advertising on the outside, so.
Move to approve the $50,000 facade grant for the From Scratch.
I would request that, even though this Mr. Rooney, I think his name was, said that orally, that he wanted to restrict the internal and external advertising of cigarettes, tobacco, and beer, I would ask that be a condition of our grant.
That works for me.
And can you reinforce that this comes from ARPA funds as well?
And, yep, from the 50,000 will come from ARPA funds, and a condition will be that they remove the alcohol and tobacco advertising from the front of the building right across from the high school.
We have a motion, is there a second?
I'll second.
We have a motion, a second. Anyone have any comments or questions? Hearing none, all those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, that motion is approved. Moving on to the second one, Dom.
Second is a proposed grant of $25,000 to Paul Barron and All County Contracting for a facade improvement at 120 North Main Street, as outlined in the enclosed sketch.
And we approve the $25,000 from ARPA funds for the improved facades for 120 North Main Street, as presented.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion from Chad, second from Bob. I would add that this is adding housing to the downtown core.
Correct. Market rate housing.
So we transition from office space to housing.
On everything but the first floor.
Right. Except for the first floor. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Any discussion? Is there any discussion on this?
I thought we can.
Just wondering if there's any.
From us or from the public?
Is there gonna be a condition that he fix up the rear of the building too? Pretty rough back there.
Not yet. I mean, the facade includes the wraparound portion. We haven't had a conversation about the rear of the building.
Is he gonna make some type of commitment to clean it up back there?
We could look into that.
Everyone knows that, right? That's the driveway, that's the insurance
Right.
building, and then you can go back and around onto Hudson Street.
I've not been back there, so I don't know what it looks like, but I know the driveway.
Probably don't wanna go back there either.
But there's
And you
multiple.
can see it from City Hall, from the back of the City Hall. But yeah, we're gonna give him $25,000 to fix up the front, but it's, you know, I mean, I think that if he would just make a commitment to clean up the back side of the building, that would make me happy, but.
You're also dealing with three entities, right?
Yeah,
Where you're talking
yeah,
about where
absolutely right, yeah.
where they begin and end, but is that a conversation you can have with them? My guess is the individual will, that's part of this plan, I don't know that, but I know in discussions with him about the rest of the building, I think he's taking ownership and so.
Yeah. Let me have that conversation.
Okay. All right, any other conversation or comments? We have a motion and a second.
I think we already voted.
I rescinded that. Okay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? All right, motion passes. Moving on to the extraterritorial allocation application for 141 Fairfax Street. For those who don't know, that is the, I don't know if it was Yankee equipment, right across from Regal Art.
Is this a new application? I mean, are they just now hooking up? Was it wastewater and
No,
well
it's
water before, or was it always hooked up?
Septic?
Was it always hooked up before, or?
No.
Marty?
No, they had a septic and a well,
Yeah, septic and what?
and their septic is failing. So they looked at going north with it, was cost prohibitive, so they've got easements to go down under the road,
Yeah.
under the 104, and then down Upper Well and connect onto our water sewer there.
Yeah.
And it was, I am familiar with the discussion because it was, people were looking to do that 5 years ago and could not get a easement from neighboring property owners. It's changed now because this individual has managed to get that easement. But it's always been well and septic system.
Yeah.
So we entertain a motion to approve that.
So moved.
Motion from Tad. Is there a second?
Second.
Second from Tim. Any other questions or comments relative to this? Public?
Certainly makes the property more valuable with water and sewer on it.
And that is the town,
Yes.
obviously. All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Hearing none, motion passes.
Marty, will the state come remove what's in the ground there already?
I believe so, yeah.
Wow.
The septic, which I think you probably would anyway to create more parking
Yeah.
there.
All right, we'll move on to mayor's report. Couple quick things. As I mentioned earlier, Dale Kuhn up on Upper Weldon, Dale still lives on Upper Weldon, sent a nice thank you note for those who had basically called out Casella for their hours of operation and corrected that. So Marty and Don and the Chip, so thank you note for that. Also received a thank you note from Donna Corrigan, who's the chair, I believe, of the Martha's Community Kitchen for a contribution that we made to Martha's Kitchen. That was in the budget. Sat in on a meeting. There's going to be some discussion. We talked with Chip and others about how do we address the butt litter throughout the community. I think we had, when they did the pickup, they picked up 24,000 cigarette butts in and around St. Albans. So they're looking at ways to reduce that, and so that's moving forward.
I don't think, Mr. Mayor, I don't think people realize that those are not, they don't compost. It's like a fiberglass or something.
It's a plastic
It's a
fiber.
plastic fiber, yeah. So I see people flipping them out the windows all the time. I just don't think people realize they just around forever.
I'm not sure why
Yeah.
people feel the need to do it, but there's be some education going on with that as well, to that point, Chad. So, Marty, I had the one comment on the yellow lines have been removed from connecting streets. I didn't think the impact was significant, personally. I think after a winter season, you probably won't even notice those eraser marks, if you will.
They're not as prevalent as the yellow lines.
Right. I'm gonna, I think my last piece is bringing up e-bikes again. I was pulling out of shopping center It was dark out, 9 o'clock at night. 2 e-bikes were racing each other down Main Street, no lights, probably easily going 30, if not 40 miles an hour. I don't know if it was the same 2, but I saw 2 riding up Lake Street. No helmets, not that we can require, but, and I've seen e-bikes going the wrong way in traffic at fairly high rate of speed, I think. I don't know what the solution is, but I'm just saying I think it's going to become, there'll be an issue before too long. The ones that were racing down, and they were swerving into the other lanes. The only reason I was able to see them because I heard them first, they were yelling and whatnot, caught my attention, but I think that's not going to end well at some point, that's all.
Well, there's pit bikes, so those are little dirt bikes. I've seen those going up and down the streets, and then someone has, I don't even know what it is, it's got big fat tires on it, they're going up and down the street.
Scooter?
It's not a scooter, it's like a motorcycle, but it has big small wheels on it. So,
The other one I saw was, it's almost like a snowboard. He's got a remote with a motor on the back. He was going up the wrong lane. I think I mentioned last time, it almost turned into him taking a left on the Messenger. But
the ones I see have motors on them, they're not electric motors, gas motors. So, yeah.
let's start with Mr. Hawkins.
I don't have much, 2 small items. I travel a lot around the city, as everyone knows, and I thought that the construction up at the water tower went very well. There was hardly ever any backups. Almost every time, it's usually daily, 2 or 3 times a day. Very easy to get through there with the amount that was going on up there. They did a very good job. The other thing is I had some brush that I wanted to burn in my backyard last weekend, so I tried to call the non-emergency number for the fire department, and I ended up getting the dispatch anyway. But I did learn that they don't give permission to burn on the weekends, which is when I think everyone would want to burn something if they were going to burn something. So I was a little disappointed in that. I didn't know if there was anything that we could do to change that. It's kind of hard to call on Friday and say, I want to burn tomorrow unless you know what the weather's going to be tomorrow. And the same with them, I would think. It used to be when I would call and do that. I haven't done it for 5 or 6 years. They would, the time I'd call, they'd look out, make sure it's not windy, and the conditions were right, and they'd want to know how far it was going to be from the buildings, and that's good investigation, and I'm happy to give that information. But I was sad to hear that they were no longer giving permission to burn on the weekends. I don't know what caused that or what's changed, but I was a little disappointed with that because I don't have the time on Monday through Friday to do that. So that's all I have.
You just throw it on the neighbor's property.
No, it's just sitting in my backyard right now.
Oh.
And I have a burn
Soaking
barrel and
wet
everything.
now?
Yeah, so it's wet now.
It would be nice if we had a place like, I know Swanton Village, you just put it out front in a brown paper bag and they'll come pick it up. They will with branches too, but it'd be nice if maybe we had a big dumpster or something down at town garage where people could just go throw that kind of stuff in there.
I think the town garage is a
I
great
can
spot.
check and see if, I can check and see if they'll put one down there.
You know what I mean?
Anything else, Deb?
No, that's fine. Oh, and the continuing misery of Main and Newton Street lights.
I was gonna bring that up.
Yeah.
Is there a plan? Can we get a plan on that intersection? Like, is it possible to fix? Is it not possible?
So right now, it's going through its normal cycle,
All the time, yeah.
all the time. He's ordered parts for it, and the parts have been delayed for who knows why. But there are parts ordered for the lower Newton set of lights that will
Okay.
trigger that back into
Okay,
cycle. But right now, every light turns green, but it takes 12 seconds to go through the cycle.
takes more than 12 seconds. I
We
was stopped.
timed it.
So
2 weeks ago, we were there timing it.
the upper part of Lower Newton that light's only green for 10 seconds?
The upper part of Lower Newton. You mean the top of Lower Newton?
Yes,
Or
sorry, the top
or the
part.
bottom of Upper Newton?
The top of Lower Newton.
Okay.
So, because there's no cars on Main Street, and I sat there, it's more than 12 seconds.
Yeah, when we timed them 2 weeks ago, it was a 12-second cycle.
We have is there one bed on the table so far tonight from upstairs?
No, we already lost it.
Yeah, but, yeah.
I'm going there tonight, I'm gonna count that whole cycle.
So a cycle is,
Be careful, watch for the electric bikes.
I know the one when you're coming down, that light will turn green, that's a pretty short green. But not that one not that one at the,
Yeah, because that one coming down has to wait for the green light for people to turn north
left.
on Main Street, for that to turn green, and then theirs turns green.
Right.
Correct.
Because- Yeah, and then that's a big delay, and so, I mean, they have enough time for maybe 2 cars to come down
Yeah.
through.
That's
If
a
there's
short-
not, if there's not a bunch of cars already turning, and they can't come down.
Stop it.
So, you know, it's a tough way to go, but I do have one more, Tim, sorry. The signals for the crosswalk over on Fairfield Street, if you're going north, the corner of Main Street and Fairfield Street, a lot of the lights are out, and so the numbers don't, you know, the seconds that ticks down.
Which one is it?
I think the,
stand on the
if you're
corner of
going
Handy's,
north, yeah,
looking north.
yeah, looking north, if you're at, by the handy, on
The
Main
one in
Street.
the park?
yeah.
Yeah.
And that was gonna be one I mentioned too, Marty. The pedestrian walk happens every cycle. You don't have to push a button anymore.
No, you still push the button, it'll activate that.
No, what I'm saying, you don't have to,
Right.
the walk pedestrian happens whether anyone's there or
Right.
at any time.
But if someone is there and pushes the button, it'll activate it into the cycle quicker than it normally would.
It used to be it would just, the lights would cycle if no one hit the button.
Right.
Right.
And
But
that's
now
not what
the-
it's doing now.
It used to be quite a while, but now it's a lot quicker, so I think that's good.
Bob?
As long as we're on lights, I haven't noticed this, but I have a constituent who felt the lighting in general on Main Street was quite dim. So I don't know if anybody else have ever experienced that or not, but I haven't noticed it, but she has been quite adamant that the general lighting on Main Street is dim. Has anybody ever, okay,
Haven't gotten any, but we can keep an eye on it, make sure they're all coming on.
okay, I'll tell them.
Yeah, those fixtures should be at the same brightness, they're not on dimmers, they're like just one,
On or off.
right, unless they're all dirty at the same time or something.
Some may be on.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Chad,
Tim got my only one.
you did?
He did.
Marie, I'm not gonna ask him twice.
Yeah, I got a couple. I did get an email from a constituent about the crosswalk by Nourish. And she claims that a car was coming, she almost got clipped by it. She was wondering if we could get the flashing crosswalk lights installed there. My personal feeling is I don't think it would be a bad idea to have flashing lights through the business district at any of those crosswalks, but I know they're expensive. But I don't know if you can save a life, it's probably money well spent, but I had forwarded the email to everyone and, you know, you said we discuss it, so I didn't know if anybody had any thoughts on it from here on out, or,
Chip, isn't that a state call?
Well,
Because it's on Route 7.
there was a time when we were hearing that the feds didn't like having those used all over the place, only in special cases. But it does seem to be relaxed. If you drive through Virgins downtown, you see them at every crossing.
yeah.
We've been responding to some concerns that were brought to us about the mid-block between Twigs and the park. So there's a, we got some assistance from V-Trans to put one there, hopefully next year.
Yeah.
We haven't had any discussions about any others Yeah, that I'm aware of.
I think that's a good spot because I think that most of the people that enter into that area are worried about what's the sequence of the lights going on Lake Street and Main Street, and they're not looking where they should be looking. And I think that is a dangerous place, and I think that's a great spot to have those.
Well, I think it's also a good spot in that, what, so many times there's a delivery truck there too. Well, you might catch the blinking on the opposite side of the street, on the park side. So I think anything right in this business district isn't a bad idea to have them. So, anyway, I told her that we were gonna discuss it, and, I'd be back to her. So, the other thing I had was, the storm sewer truck that goes through and cleans out the storm drains. Marty, how often do they do that? Do they hit like every street? Do they have like a certain schedule that they do that?
To vac the catch basins,
Yeah.
we typically do it in the spring and the fall,
Oh, okay.
and mark the catch basin with white paint when we go through.
Oh, all right, okay. Yeah, because I had a question from somebody on Spruce Street that was concerned that the tree was shedding its leaves and she was always cleaning it out. And I told her that the city's pretty good about keeping up with that, so.
Or have them contact me if we go out throughout the summer too, good.
Oh, okay.
Do specific ones, so.
Okay, yep.
yeah.
And also, tree trimming, cutting them back. The tree next door to me, 25 North Elm, is kind of stretching out right towards the house now, and it's pretty close, so. Also, it's interfering with some of the wires that comes from our house across to the pole, so they could do a little trimming there, that'd be good.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he should be back this week to take care of a tree on Barlow.
Oh, okay. Okay, that'd be great. And I guess that's all I have. Yep, that's all I have.
Quick follow-up, Marty, on the grates. You and I talked about the ones down in the industrial park. It seemed odd that the grates now have bigger squares, if you will, so we're putting potentially more trash into the catch basins. Why did we go from the smaller squares to the bigger ones?
There's no,
rhyme or reason.
no. If there's a project being done, they just, whatever grades they have at the time typically. But they all have sump holes in them, so the solids will typically go in the sump hole and the liquid will continue down the storm line.
Here's, to see what comes out of those in some cases, where the bigger ones are versus the smaller ones. But, and the other piece I would share about, we got a upset email about someone almost got hit in a crosswalk. I guess my comment to that is I think we've got to the point where people need to use a little common sense that even though one lane is stopped for you, you don't get into the crosswalk until you catch eyes with the other lane and make sure they stop.
Yes.
I think that's where we see a lot of the issues is people think just because one lane stops that they're both going to stop.
Right.
And that's definitely not the case. And that's where I think a lot of issues.
Yeah.
I have an issue sometimes with people who, they should at least look, though. A lot of times people just get into the crosswalk as if everyone's gonna stop every single time,
Right.
no matter what. They're just walking from the sidewalk right into the crosswalk without even looking to start with.
It happens all the time at the mobile on Lake Street. Person will have a hoodie right on,
Yep.
and they just step right out, and they don't care, they don't even look at
You
it.
know,
Or they're on their phone.
and gladly we stop, and hopefully we stop. But geez, there should be, like I said, like you said, Tim, there should be a little common sense, so at least look. At least look.
No, you're up.
That's me. I got three things. Marty, question for you, I don't want to give you a hard time. On the tree down in Walnut Street, has that been taken care of?
Yes,
Oh, okay. I just want to.
took it down probably over a month ago.
It did, okay. Quite another question. On the mowing down by the railroad station, I see it's still there.
I'll have to follow up. I checked with Shane,
Yeah,
who was their clerk of the works, so I can follow up with him again tomorrow.
okay. And then one other thing is, we got a child, that they have like a motorcycle, similar to a motorcycle, I think it's electric. I see her going up and down the street and stuff like this. I'm just curious if police could have a little talk with her, because I hate to see her get hit. That's down around my way, on Calvary Street and Finn Avenue.
Riding in the street, not on
Yeah,
sidewalks.
on the street, yeah.
And how old?
I would say maybe probably between 8 and 10, maybe.
So do you want the police to have the talk with the little girl or?
If they see her.
Or the parents?
Yeah, well, maybe start with her first and go to the parents afterwards.
Okay. Anything else, Noel?
That's it.
Don will have that conversation. Anyone else? Questions? Comments?
Just
Okay.
one quick question for Tom. Is our dog situation okay? Has that been taken care of?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks for doing that.
Put down, was it?
It was.
Oh, executed.
Motion to approve warrants 9/30/23.
Second.
Motion second for
Hello?
approval of
Hey,
warrant.
guys.
Oh, boy. Oh, I'm gonna pay for that one too.
Oh, you thought you were gonna be on time, but I do have quite a few items for ward 4.
All right. Wait a minute, I got a motion and a second on the floor. Let's go there and then we'll come back to you. All right.
Okay.
Those in favor of the warrant, say aye. Aye. Okay, now we'll go to you, Judy.
Talked to a couple people about Congress and Maine, the parking and the gate. Sometimes I guess it's broken almost weekly, and some tenants there say that it's been open sometime for days because it's broken. Also, a lot of people are congregating in that area and making it feel unsafe to certain residents and people that are using that parking lot. Are there cameras out there?
There's a lot of cameras.
And are there signs that say no, like hanging out?
Loitering?
Yeah.
I mean, candidly, I think the issue is a tenant of ours in 12 Congress who's in the process of being evicted. Give me 30 days and see if it clears up.
Okay.
And then
Okay.
tomorrow, we're meeting with a firm to get rid of the gates. Gates don't work in that type of a scenario where people feel that they can just break it in order to get out.
Okay.
Get out of the gate business.
It sounds like there's a lot of nooks and crannies in that parking lot also that people who are talking to me are wondering about, like, if there's a way to avoid some of those nooks and crannies.
You're talking where someone could stand or be in the shadows or in
Yeah,
undetected?
yes, exactly that. So that was one thing. Also, someone mentioned streetlights. Streetlights, are they checked to see if they're actually, if the bulbs are burnt out or things like that? Smith Street seems pretty dark, also. So I didn't know if that was something that Marty and his guys kind of check on.
Green Mountain Power issue, right, Marty?
So if we don't, I mean, we don't have guys out at night this time of year, so we wouldn't be typically checking on. Residents will usually typically call and let us know, and then we contact Green Mountain Power.
Did you hear
Okay.
that? So it's more of a Green Mountain Power solution, but we can notify them if we have that situation.
Okay, perfect.
Judy, if there's a location where someone wants a new GMP streetlight, we can look at those too.
Yeah, I was just noticing on Smith Street, there seemed to be a couple out more towards my end. But that's good to know for folks. And lastly, this is kind of, might be a little bit funny, but had a couple residents of Bank complaining because someone's rooster, not a garbage truck now, but a rooster is waking them up at the crack of dawn. Are there any rules about that?
Shoot it.
Well, there's a rule about that.
I got one that no. I have
That
that.
is a noise ordinance violation, right?
Uh,
I thought someone at the PD told me chickens were okay unless someone complained about a rooster.
I think that the noise ordinance is the only thing we would have right now or something like that.
Do we know?
Yes. I do know the house. I did ask if the neighbors had asked the person, face to face, but it didn't, I don't think that was going to be very well received, I guess. So maybe I can just let someone, City Hall know. I don't know. Okay.
Animal control. That's why I sent them to.
I didn't hear that.
Who, Nicole?
Jim Benson, animal control.
Jim Benson, Animal Control.
Dispatch. Yep. He'll go and talk to them, and I believe he's been to that residence before.
But you can't, so you can have a rooster, it just can't cock-a-doodle-doo before 7 a.m.?
Give him a clock.
Okay, that's all I've got. Nice job being on time, Tim.
Thanks, Rudy. And I'm sorry I forgot to.
No, he's not.
I was very quiet today.
You were. Right, next is the
Motion to approve
approval of
minutes, 9/11/23.
Second.
Motion and second. Are there any comments, corrections, amendments to the minutes? Hearing none, all those in favor of approval of the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion passes. Entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion by Chad. Anyone else, I guess? We're here for a while. Oh, Marie seconded it. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
I never know about Marie one way or the other.
This is, that's the third time tonight, and man, because I'm just gonna shut up. Everyone else gets a second. I
I
can't.
know. Thank you all.
Yeah.
Thank the public for coming in.
I tried.
Stuff like that?
I got.
Hey, Charlie.